Welcome back to Coin's Numismatic series. Today, we're diving into the top 3 5 pence Elizabeth II coins that every serious collector should know about. So let's get started with the first one. 5 pence Elizabeth II 1970 coins. The story of the 1975 pence begins with the very moment Britain was preparing to overhaul its entire monetary system. Up until this point, the British currency had been based on the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence. It was a complicated structure, 12 pence to a shilling, 20 shillings to a pound. Decimalization was looming on the horizon, and with it, the 5 pence coin was positioned as one of the key denominations that would bridge the old and the new. The 1970 issue is particularly notable because it marks the end of the pre-decimal era and the beginning of the decimal system. Though decimalization officially took place in February 1971, the Royal Mint struck coins in 1970 as part of a commemorative farewell to the old system. These were issued in proof sets only, not for general circulation, which instantly makes them more exclusive. Now let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II sculpted by Arnold Machin. This is the second definitive portrait of the Queen to appear on British coins, introduced in 1968. Machin's portrait is refined, regal, and more youthful than Mary Gillick's original 1953 version. Elizabeth II is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, an elegant detail that makes this portrait stand out among collectors. On the reverse, Christopher Ironside's crown thistle design takes center stage. This choice was deliberate, symbolizing Scotland and its integral place within the United Kingdom. The crown above the thistle reinforces the sovereignty and unity of the realm. It's a simple, balanced design, yet highly symbolic, and one of the most beloved among decimal coinage enthusiasts. Mintage of the 1970 proof sets was limited, with around 750,000 produced. This relatively modest number means these coins are far from common, especially since they were not intended for everyday use. Every example was carefully struck to proof standard, meaning they feature sharp details and a mirrored finish that remains breathtaking even today if well preserved. As for market value, the 1975 pence in proof condition often sells in the range of £5 to £15 as part of a complete proof set, but pristine examples in original packaging can command significantly higher prices. For collectors who specialize in proof coins or transitional issues, the 1970 stands out as an essential acquisition. Error coins from this year are exceedingly rare, but misstruck proof examples occasionally surface. These are often due to die alignment issues or imperfections in the mirrored fields. When they do appear, they can skyrocket in value, as error proofs are among the rarest types of mint mistakes. In terms of collector interest, the 1975 pence remains a cornerstone for any serious decimal collection. Its status as a proof-only issue ensures a built-in exclusivity. It represents the closure of one chapter and the anticipation of another. When you hold a 1975 pence, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a symbol of Britain's monetary evolution. 5 pence Elizabeth I 1971 coins. Next, we come to the 1971 5 pence. The very first year the coin entered mass circulation as part of the decimal system. Unlike the proof-only 1970 issue, the 1971 5 pence was minted in enormous quantities to meet the demands of a nation transitioning to decimal currency. This makes it historically significant. It was the coin that introduced millions of people to the new system. In 1971, the Royal Mint struck over 600 million examples of the 5 pence. That staggering number gives you a sense of just how widespread the coin became in everyday life. It was equivalent in value to 1 shilling, so it served as a direct bridge between the old currency and the new. People who had been using shillings their entire lives suddenly had to adapt to thinking in terms of 5 pence. The obverse again bears Arnold Machin's portrait of Elizabeth II. By now, this portrait had become familiar to the public, appearing on virtually all new decimal coins. It was a portrait that conveyed stability and continuity during a period of immense change. The reverse retained Christopher Ironside's crown thistle design. Continuity was important here as well. By carrying forward the same design from the 1968 pre-decimal decimal test coins and the 1970 proof issues, the mint made the new coins feel familiar and less intimidating to the public. From a numismatic perspective, the sheer mintage of the 1971 5 pence means that most examples are still worth face value today. However, condition plays a vital role. Brilliant uncirculated examples, especially those kept in original mint packaging, can sell for several pounds. Proof versions from the 1971 proof sets are also desirable, often fetching £10 to £20 depending on condition. Errors from 1971 are where things get exciting. Misstrikes, off-center strikes, and die clashes exist, and they are particularly valuable because they highlight the chaos of mass production during a critical year. Some examples have been found struck on incorrect planchets, such as those intended for foreign coins. These errors are exceedingly rare and can sell for hundreds or even thousands of pounds depending on the nature of the mistake. Collector interest in the 1971 5 pence is twofold. For general collectors, it represents the dawn of decimalization and is therefore historically essential. For era collectors, it's a treasure trove of opportunities due to the sheer volume produced. And for those building year-by-year collections of British coins, it's a non-negotiable starting point. While it may not carry the exclusivity of the 1970 proof issue, the 1971 5 pence carries something arguably more important: cultural weight. It is a coin that millions remember holding, spending, and saving during a period when Britain's currency was transformed forever. 5 Pence Elizabeth II 1978 coins. Finally, we arrive at the 1978 5 pence. At first glance, it might not seem as historically pivotal as 1970 or 1971, but in the world of numismatics, it has carved out a reputation of its own. The late 1970s were a period of economic turbulence in Britain, with inflation and social change affecting daily life. Coins from this period reflect a time when money was being stretched further than ever. The 1978 issue of the 5 pence is often seen as emblematic of the coin's role in everyday transactions during these challenging years. The obverse, once again, carries the Machin portrait of Elizabeth II. By 1978, this portrait had become iconic, instantly recognizable not just in Britain but around the world. The reverse still displayed Ironside's crown thistle, maintaining continuity and national symbolism. Mintage figures for the 1978 5 pence were significant but far lower than the initial 1971 release. Around 159 million were struck. While still common, they are less ubiquitous than earlier issues, which makes them more interesting to collectors today. In terms of value, circulated examples are usually worth little more than their face value. However, brilliant uncirculated coins and those in proof condition from the 1978 sets are far more desirable. Collectors often pay between £5 and £15 for high-grade proofs, while coins in mint packaging can fetch even more. Where the 1978 5 pence really shines is in its errors. Striking mistakes, double strikes, and planchet flaws are known to exist. Given the lower mintage compared to 1971, these errors are scarcer and often more valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for die varieties or anomalies that set certain examples apart. Interest in the 1978 issue has also grown due to nostalgia. Many people who grew up in the 1970s remember the 5 pence coin as a staple of their childhood pocket money. For them, collecting this coin is not just about numismatics but also about recapturing a piece of personal history. From a collector's standpoint, the 1978 5 pence may not be the rarest or most valuable coin in the series, but it is deeply evocative of its time. It represents stability during economic uncertainty, continuity in design, and the ongoing role of coinage in everyday British life. So there we have it, the top 3 5 Pence Elizabeth II coins, the 1970 proof issue that closed the door on the old system, the 1971 circulation issue that heralded the dawn of decimalization, and the 1978 issue that captured the spirit of its era. Each one tells a unique story, and together, they chart the evolution of Britain's currency during a period of immense change. For collectors, these coins are not just metal discs. They're historical artifacts, miniature works of art, and tangible links to the lives of millions of people. Whether you're fascinated by the exclusivity of proofs, the thrill of discovering errors, or the nostalgia of holding a coin from your childhood, the 5 Pence series offers something for everyone.